Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today is Charlie Cook. He is riding shotgun with Charlie. He's Charlie's Gungrams. He's writing shotgun with Charlie. He is just about everywhere. Charlie, thanks for coming along for the ride today, man.
Always a pleasure, Paul. Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So before we get started today, as I usually do, I want to remind everybody, if you're catching us on Polite Society Podcasts pages, go ahead and comment on the live video. If you're catching us on OpsLens or anywhere else, go to Twitter and tweet with the hashtag #TheBullet. We'll get those comments as well right away. We'll get them on the air. We'll discuss them as we go through the show today. We got 30 minutes and a lot of news, so let's go ahead and get to it. First off, I want to read a press release from the home offices. This one was issued just a few hours ago. The Second Amendment Foundation has cautioned the mayor of Redwood City, California, against continuing a moratorium on allowing firearms retail sales within its jurisdiction, which could result in litigation against the city on Second Amendment grounds. The city adopted an urgency ordinance which placed a moratorium on firearms dealers from opening businesses within the city. Extensions on the moratorium, if voted for, may last for up to 2 years. In a letter to Richmond City Mayor Gazelle Hale, SAF Executive Director Adam Kraut notes, by indefinitely preventing any firearms or ammunition retailers from opening within the city, Redwood City has directly impeded its residents from acquiring the means to protect themselves and their families as guaranteed by the Second Amendment. While Kraut acknowledges there are examples of permissible regulations that may be imposed on firearm and ammunition retailers that would comport with the Constitution, he also had words of warning for Mayor Hale and the city. Quote, SAF has a storied history of suing municipalities, states, and the federal government for Second Amendment violations, Kraut wrote. Should Redwood City continue to deprive its residents of the ability to acquire firearms and ammunition through an indeterminate moratorium on firearms and ammunition retailers from opening a business, SAF will examine all legal remedies available to its members, and those who may be affected by the city's flagrant disregard of its citizens' constitutional right. It is my hope that Redwood City Council will promptly take action to remedy this situation to avoid unnecessary litigation. Strong words from the new executive director. What are your thoughts, Charlie?
He is not wasting any time.
No, he is not.
He's really not. This is a great little press release they put out. It's shocking that Redwood City does not know the history of things like, Ezell versus Chicago, where the SAF sued and won court cases where Rahm Emanuel, the then mayor of Chicago, had to write a big fat check to the SAF. Mm-hmm. Why do they? I don't know why they don't. These people forget. They forget their history. They forget that this has happened before, just as much as they don't realize that the things that they're proposing either are already on the books or have been proposed before. You know, I mean, there's plenty of times when you see politicians come out and say, well, we need to, we need storage laws. We already have storage laws. We need real storage laws. Oy, oy, oy.
You know, that sounds a lot to me like real socialism has never been tried. That's what that sounds
Right.
like to me.
That is exactly what I was thinking as well. It's not real socialism. Oh yeah, yeah. It's not real firearm. Restrictions, infringement.
Yeah.
It's not real infringement. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. You're telling, and what's really. I was thinking about this when you were reading the story. We have cities like Chicago, where Chicago likes to say that all of the guns come from Illinois. Oh, sorry, from Indiana. They come across the border into Illinois, and of course they commit the crimes on their own. But the same sort of thing. If you're going to turn around and say, "Hey, listen, our city is not going to have any firearms in here. If you want to get a gun, you're going to have to go outside of the town or the city and import it," and then they can easily, could easily. Not making any sense, of course, but they could easily go and say, well, those towns have gun stores, which is why we don't have a gun store here and we don't have crime, but people are going to those towns and getting gun stores. Those towns shouldn't have gun stores as well. I mean, it's
Right.
just it's infringement all around.
It's blaming your problems on someone else is really what it comes
Oh,
down to.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right, let's see here. Yeah, we're cool there. Let's go on to our next story. This one is right up your alley and right in your neighborhood.
Right from the Commonwealth.
This one off of Boston Herald. Boston Herald. A new report by a state gun rights group shows the state's homicide rates have increased drastically since implementation of stricter gun controls was passed by the legislature in 1998. What jumps off the page is more than doubling of gun-related homicides since the passage of the 1998 Gun Control Act, Jim Wallace, executive director of the Gun Owners Action League, said with the release of the report. According to the report, which draws data from Massachusetts Department of Public Health Injury Surveillance Program, in 1998 there were 63 gun-related homicides. In 2020, the year of the most recent DPH injury deaths to Massachusetts residents report, there were 133 such homicides in Massachusetts, an increase of 111%. For more than 2 decades, we've constantly heard that Massachusetts is leading the nation in common sense gun control laws. Using the state's own data, we're proving that it's simply a false and dangerous narrative, Wallace said. Charlie, he hits it out of the park. The gun grabbers have had their way in Massachusetts for more than 20 years, and it's failing miserably.
It's completely failing miserably. I hate putting this on a Republican, but I believe it was Mitt Romney in 1988 permanently adopted the 1994 federal assault weapon ban here in Massachusetts, and made all the things that we couldn't get for that 10 years, or Americans couldn't get for those 10 years, permanently adopted that here in Massachusetts. And none of this stuff works. It doesn't work to reduce crime. It doesn't reduce the numbers for anything. It only drives things up, and it makes the law abiding. It puts more infringement on us. Again, more infringement, and it's not good. This is not good, and it's ridiculous. And if the state would only realize this. What's really frustrating is Massachusetts likes to brag how many colleges there are, and we've got the higher education and all this sort of stuff. But politicians in particular, still come out and they're ridiculous, not educated and not informed, and don't see the obvious.
Let me still, now for some reason, I'm not getting at all. Oh, that's why. We are getting comments. It's just my software wasn't picking them up. Give me just a second for my software to grab.
So is Trump back on Twitter yet? Wouldn't it be cool if Trump tweeted into the bullet?
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be
simply
simply amazing.
I saw a TikTok video where this woman invited Trump to her wedding, and she got something back, and it said, "We would love to join your family. Melania and I would love to join your family in the celebration and whatnot." So,
yeah, wow. I'm gonna have to send out an invitation. I'll have to find a way. I know there is a way, and I will run up the chain of command to try and find a way that will get there to see if we can't get an invitation.
You've got to know somebody who knows somebody. Like, it's the 6 degrees of separation with Ellen Gottlieb.
I don't even think it's 6 degrees once we get to Allen.
It's not. He's the key. He's been to Mar-a-Lago. He's been there.
Yes. Get some comment or get a comment up here real quick as soon as I get to the right button. George, going back to the Redwood City. Oh no, crime is coming back to Redwood City. It certainly is. You block off access for people to defend themselves. It's not going to be long before criminals go, well, nobody's got a way to defend themselves there. Where are we going to go for defenseless victims? Let's go to Redwood City.
Right. Yeah, ridiculous.
All right, next story. This one off of Amoland, Maryland. In July, the Montgomery County Council proposed a truly draconian piece of legislation, Bill 21-22. That bill sought to defy the U.S. Supreme Court's opinion in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin by effectively banning the possession, transport, sale, and transfer of firearms in any place, public or private, in the county where people may assemble. Now, there were a lot of changes made to that, amendments made to that in a hearing today. However, while their amendments would eliminate bans in all places where people may assemble, the amendments could still criminalize the mere possession of a firearm with or without a permit in or within 100 yards of any publicly or privately owned, here's the list, hang on, and I made sure that there's two of us on the screen, actually let me do this one. A publicly or privately owned park, place of worship, school, library, recreational facility, hospital, community health center, including any healthcare facility or community-based program licensed by the Maryland Department of Health. Long-term facility, including any licensed nursing home, group home, or home care multi-purpose exhibition facility, such as fairgrounds or conference center, or child care facility. It would also criminalize firearms possession by any person, including permit holders, in any government building, including any place owned by or under the control of the county polling place, any courthouse, legislative assembly, and a gathering of individuals to collectively express their constitutional right or protest the assembly. So if you're going to have a protest to demand your Second Amendment rights, you cannot carry a firearm in that Second Amendment protest.
Yeah, you're protesting your Second Amendment rights while giving up your Second Amendment rights.
Yes.
It's
a ton of sense.
Did you see the video? John Petrolino put this video out, and I know other places have used it as well too, but John was the guy that sent it to me. There was a politician in New Jersey, shocking, where he comes right out and says all these restrictions that we're doing are for people that legally own guns. It's not for criminals. And what they're saying here is if you have a permit, you could still be a criminal. So what's the sense of having a permit? And like I've said on these airwaves a number of times, and I will continue to say it every time, if the government isn't going to follow the laws, why should we? Why do we have laws if the government's not going to follow their laws? Why do we have to follow their laws? You know, my attorney general came out and said that she's not going to pay any attention to Bruin, and why have these decisions if it doesn't mean anything? And this is where I've talked. I think I said this 2 weeks ago, where there's some chart that says the conservatives that swing really hard are become anarchists, and I'm like, I want to be libertarian. Let people be. Let them do what they want to do as long as they don't harm other people. But if nobody's got to pay any attention to laws, then why do I have to pay attention to laws?
Yeah. I think George Geller just commented over on the YouTube side. I think he wants to open a can of worms. I don't know if I'm ready to open that can just yet. Is that Maryland thing? Is it only guns, or does it also include hammers?
You know, the memes about open carrying hammers is a little out of control. It's been great. It's been great.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to step there because A, it's a family show, or at least I try to keep it a family show, and B, we've only got 15 minutes left, and C, it's just way too easy of a target. So, you, by the awesome comment, George, but I'm not taking the bait.
Could you could you imagine two guys asking if they want a duel, and they say hammers at dawn, and they come out with dueling hammers? Oh my gosh!
Mm, okay.
Yeah,
Gives a
pistols,
new term to
pistols,
go pound sand, doesn't it? Sorry.
pistols, swords, or hammers.
Yes. Uh, uh, yeah. CNT Designs and Arms says you have to pay attention to laws because the government has more guns than we do. I don't think they do. Um, they may have bigger guns, but I think we have more.
Yeah, it's kind of fun when you see that the it's been a few years since I've seen it, so I can't quote it exactly, but it says something like um, uh, the beginning of deer season in Pennsylvania, there are more people in the woods with guns than, I don't know, a number of sitting armies.
Yeah, it would not surprise me at all. And again, George Geller with kind of going back to the hammer comments.
Hammer time!
You nailed it, Paul.
You nailed it. That's awesome.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to end up doing that all the rest of the show if I don't go ahead and move on to our next story because it's just too rich. This one off Liberty Park Press. Uh, the gun lobby, Everytown, Giffords, and the rest have been perpetuating the myth that the gun lobby, usually the NRA, has been buying the votes of pro-gun representatives and senators since the 1970s. I'm not going to read any more of the story. I'm just going to grab some figures from that story. This is spending by Bloomberg. He spent $1,058,690 as of September 30th in support of anti-gun Representative Lucy McBeth in Georgia District 7. One race just prior to September 30th. Also, $1 million against Senator Johnson of Wisconsin, $850,000 against Senate candidate Adam Laxalt in Nevada, $786,210 against Joe O'Dea running in the U.S. Senate race in Colorado, over $1 million against Senator candidate Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania, and $1,036,999, and I'm sure 99 cents, against Herschel Walker in the Georgia Senate race. All of these are in addition to the over $7 million Everytown has spent prior to October 2022. Most of this money has been donated by Michael Bloomberg. Who's buying votes?
I think they call that projecting, right?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, they're going to sit here and say, well, the NRA spent, what was it, $30 million on Trump's first election, and here he's spending spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on anti-gun candidates. And as the libertarian and the freedom guy here, it's his money. He can certainly do what he wants with it. But it's certainly not a winning proposition. Certainly for freedom or for Americans. And second, it seems to me like all of the groups, us who have been doing this for a while, it all goes back to the Brady group, the Brady campaign, and everything after then is the same group. It's the same, it's the same, not the same group of people, but it's a group with a different name, with the same objective, funded by the same people that keep doing the same nonsense.
And they're pouring.
Yeah,
let's be honest, they're pouring hundreds of millions of dollars every 2 years all over the country into separate elections. Whatever the NRA spends, and the NRA is not spending nearly what it used to, but whatever the NRA was spending is dwarfed by, and that's just Bloomberg. I didn't mention what Soros is spending. I didn't mention that there. By the way, that's in that story too. I didn't mention what some of the other organizations are spending in advertising, but we are not the ones buying votes. In just two of the races, I think they have Michael Bloomberg in two of the races. I'm pretty sure has gone over the entire budget for the Second Amendment Foundation for the year.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's insane that these people want to fight freedom.
Yeah. Wow. One more story, and we got 10 minutes, and I think we're going to take all 10 minutes to talk about this story. This is off FoxNews.com. A Fairfax County, Virginia mother raised concerns about an assignment that prompted students to analyze an anti-Second Amendment persuasive essay article. The concerned parent, Darcy Geisler, sent Fox News Digital the essay that made a case for gun control. Responding to the principal's email about her concern over the assignment, Geisler called the assignment a poorly written, factually and legally inaccurate essay written by an adult parading as a child, being used to once again advance a political agenda. I printed it out so that I could have it in front of me and show it to the camera. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick it up. This is the essay that was given to the kids, and I'll get it kind of close here, but I don't know how well you can see that. The handwriting or the hand printing on that, there's no way a fifth grader, somebody who is give or take 11 years old, has hand printing that good. Period. This is an adult female that printed this. I will just about guarantee it. The creative writing that they were supposed to say, is this persuasive or not? Some of the things in here, something has to be done about the fact that the U.S. gun murder rate is 19.5 times higher than the 22 most populous countries combined. Baloney! I'm sorry, was that external? Most people live in urban areas where they don't need to hunt. Guns cause violence. This whole thing is written by an adult. Again, and I'm right with the mother. There's enough putting in errors. There's enough odd usage of words to make it sound like it could possibly have been somebody that's not real experienced with language. But there are enough takeaways like 19.5 times higher than the 22 most populous countries. That kind of a statistic putting in there, nobody's going to, no 11-year-old's going to come up with that.
Kids can't do that kind of math. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no.
Populous? Use the term populous, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go to the very last paragraph here, and read this paragraph. Guns were great when the Constitution was written, but now they hinder instead of help. Last sentence, and imagine yourself, any 11-year-old on the planet, in the English-speaking world on the planet, coming up with this sentence. We must embrace the changes the future brings us for the common good and ban guns from our country. When was the last time you heard on their own an 11-year-old come up with the word embrace? Yeah, I'm right with the mother. This was written by an adult faking being an 11-year-old, and she's absolutely right. This is the school district pushing an agenda on fifth graders, is exactly what's going on there.
Imagine this. Imagine what's this, fifth grade?
Yep.
Fifth grade? Imagine a fifth grade teacher gives your kids an assignment and says, hey, I've got an idea. I want you to write an essay on why we should have guns. Why guns are good. Why everybody needs to own a gun. How many of the liberal parents would write and complain and say the teacher's pushing their agenda down the kids' throats, and they're preaching their own agenda in school, and they're wanting kids to become violent and all this nonsense. Um, to me, it reminds me that the um, the left likes to complain and protest about things. The little things, they get upset about the little things, and the people on the right are like, "Yeah, that's dumb, that's stupid. I've got some other stuff I got to do. I'm not going to worry about this. This is ridiculous. How is this even an issue?" But if the shoe was on the other foot and they had to write a pro Second Amendment essay, the other parents would be up in arms.
Oh, they absolutely would. This would be headlining CNN, CBS, ABC, NBC, everywhere else but Fox. Get to a couple comments and we got to get out of here. Going back to a previous story, CNT Designs and Arms has a comment here. It's the fact that when the government shows up to arrest you, it becomes you and your guns against the government and their guns. 99.9% of the time, you will not have backup, and the government does have backup.
That is, go ahead.
On an individual basis, he's right.
Yeah, this is something I put some time into thinking about. But I thought about this. Oh my gosh, I think it was last summer. Yeah, it was last summer, 2021, when there were stories that Biden was going to send people door to door to make sure that everyone had their COVID shots. And I put a little bit of time into thinking about this, and I said, all right, so how many houses do these people have to go to check your papers? How many houses do they have to go to where somebody gets shot? One of their people gets shot as they're knocking on doors to make sure everyone has their papers, until they start sending people with guns to check to see that you've got your papers to prove that you've had the vaccine. And my attitude, it was somewhere between 4 and 6. If that many, I don't want to say that few people, but if that many people got shot going door to door, I think that's when the government would start to say, hey, listen, you know what? Everyone, all of our people need to go knock on doors, and they need to have guns and say either you're going to get shot with a needle or you're going to get shot with a gun. It's one of the two. So, yeah, he's got a great point there for sure.
Get some more comments here real quick from him, from CNT Design. I don't know if I'm being very sexist here saying it's a him. I do not know. That's how it works with government schools. They get to push their leftist agenda all the time, and there is no balance. Also says kids are taught what to think and not how to think. And that's absolutely true.
Yeah. I see examples of me with my job going to get kids for band lessons. And I will walk with kids and say, okay, well, come on, we need to, they'll line up at the door, and I'm like, all right, come on, let's go. We need to walk. And then we'll get to we'll walk down the hallway, and I'm like, come on, let's left foot, right foot, let's go. And then you get to a door, and they just stand at the door until you open the door. And I'm like, you can open the door, guys. Like, let's go here. We're going to class, dude. Like, there's a doorway. We have to open it because we're going through that door because you know where we've been. We've been here before.
Sure.
Come on, man. Like, yeah. And they really, I've seen that kids just don't want to, like they don't know how to, when you say, let's go to class, like you have to tell them we're going to go to class. When we see a door, we're going to open it. If we're in a room and the lights are off, we're going to turn the lights on. Like, you have to tell them everything. So, yeah.
And I think this is a case of the school trying to tell them something without directly telling them something.
Oh, sure. Tell us you're pushing your leftist agenda without telling us you're pushing your leftist agenda.
Yes.
Like, legit, if the teacher said come up with either an argument for the Second Amendment or against the Second Amendment, that's cool. Then they get to write their own opinion. But write something against this, yeah, that's not their opinion. You're telling them what to write. You're not telling them what to write. You're giving them the prompt of this is what we're looking for.
Yes, it absolutely is. Well, hey man, we're at the bottom of the hour. You and I got to be back in 30 minutes, and I want to plug this real quick. And I want to mute my phone here because it's about to go off, and I do not want it to start going nuts on me. So I want to plug this. In 30 minutes, we've got Polite Society podcast coming up right where you're watching this right now. Adam Kraut, who we mentioned in the first story, the new executive director of the Second Amendment Foundation, is going to be joining us. I am so looking forward to that interview. I'm so looking forward to talking with him. I got a chance to talk with him briefly at Gun Rights Policy Conference, and I've been texting with him a little bit back and forth since then, but I'm really looking forward to introducing you all to the new executive director of SAF. Please come back and join us in 30 minutes. It's going to be awesome. On our way out, Charlie, what do you want to plug, man?
I have a bonus episode of Writing Shotgun with Charlie coming out tomorrow. And the show tomorrow is going to have the Kansas District 59 House of Representatives candidate, Rebecca Schmoy. I got to interview her in Dallas at AmCon, and she was a lot of fun to be with, a lot of fun to have on the show, and that's going to be coming out tomorrow. It's a bonus episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie, so check it out on YouTube and check it out on podcast.
I got to say, if you ever want to be around somebody that has got a permanent positive attitude, go find Rebecca Schmoy. That woman, and it's infective. You cannot be around Rebecca Schmoy and not be in a good mood. That she is a force of nature. She is awesome. So,
yeah, she's great. And she's got the election next week in Kansas for anyone that is in Kansas and might be tuning in. And they're in her District 59. You need to vote for Rebecca, obviously.
Yes, absolutely. And I believe I know she does have one opponent in a non-freedom party that's running against her, so it should be a fairly clear vote. And anyway, come join us in 27 and a half minutes. We got to shut this down. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for commenting. We will see you